Rehabbing with a 3-pound weight. Been a rough year for injuries, so turns out I got some time for a little bit of a blog. I just thought I'd answer a question that everybody seems to want to ask me, and that's all my friends and family who don't work in the film business. And since I work as a director of photography or a cinematographer, I thought I'd ask the number one question that everybody asks. What's a gaffer? Well, I could ask a gaffer to reply to this question. I'd have to find one who knows the answer. And that would be any of the very talented gaffers that I've worked with over the years. I just play with this thing to tilt it down. See, I'm a micromanager, cameraman, director of photography. I can't just let this thing have too much headroom. What the heck am I doing? Messing up the sound. Okay. So a gaffer basically is the chief lighting technician on any film set or on a television series set. They're basically shot the same way, except that in a film, you shoot maybe 4 or 5 minutes of the film per day, sometimes less if Hollywood is involved with lots of cash, or Europe is involved with lots of cash. More and more, it's becoming less the Hollywood model that's paying for all the movies that are coming out, and it's more and more the television studios out of Hollywood or out of Los Angeles that are paying for all of the big series that are taking place. And some of these you won't see on network television because they happen on the cable channels like HBO, right? We all know about HBO, AMC, the CW network, Lifetime. These are good examples of American cable channels. And they hire a producer, and that producer goes and hires everybody else. And I'm a director of photography, so I get one of the first phone calls after they've hired some directors, and then I hire a gaffer. And a gaffer is basically the chief lighting technician. He's the guy who takes whatever's in my head and makes it happen and delegates it throughout the electric department, which is the lighting department. So if you ever like the lighting from a show, or you ever like the lighting in a movie, or you like the mood, or there's something intangible about it, but boy, wasn't she beautiful, or boy, he's a mysterious and charismatic guy, that may have something to do with the lighting. And there's a couple of different types of gaffers. They're gaffers who will take what I say, or take what any director of photography says, and go about trying to make that happen. There are other gaffers that have their own way of seeing things, and who will take what I say, throw it in the garbage, and go about doing what they want to happen. No matter what the case, or what type of gaffer you end up with, it depends on how strong the personality of the director of photography is. Because if the director of photography isn't very good, or doesn't really know what he's doing, then it helps to have a strong gaffer with strong ideas about the type of mood for a particular scene. Is it a love scene? Is it a breakup scene? Is it a family sitting around in silence at Thanksgiving? Is it a celebration at a high school? Is it a murder by the side of a highway in the rain? All of these things deserve different treatments. There are certain recipes that work for lighting these kinds of things. Obviously, a night scene, it's got to look like night. A lot of the time, the interior night scenes, we shoot them during the day. So we black out the windows and we create our own little night at lunchtime, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's right. So the gaffer plays a really important role in making sure that the house or the location or the studio is ready to start from darkness, basically, from the bottom up and building a kind of a mood. And the mood is going to be whatever the director of photography tells the gaffer he's interested in seeing. And the cinematographer or the director of photography will only know what he really wants to see by talking with the director. That is if the director is at all visually, inspired and or talented. Sometimes this is the case. Sometimes it's a director who writes well and works well with actors and is a good storyteller in a timeline way, in an editing way. A lot of them come from editing because there's a lot of storytelling in editing. I gotta tell you, it's a marvelous job that editors do to put all the crap that we shoot together and make it look like it makes sense. So, but we'll get to that at another point. Directors, editors, producers will tackle all of them. I just wanted to demystify a little bit about what a gaffer's job is. He supervises an entire department on a film like, a Hollywood movie that would shoot here in Montreal. The gaffer would be managing a couple of $1 million. A couple of $1 million. He would be managing in this on a Hollywood film. The gaffer would be managing a couple of $1 million worth of lighting. He'd have a pretty big budget, so it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of stress. He's kind of caught between what the director of photography wants and what the production will allow as far as expenditures and time are concerned. So it's a pretty stressful situation. And he's there from first thing when the pre-lighting starts until the very, very end. So he's got a bit of a long day, 14, 16 hours, sometimes 12, 13, but that's only in rare cases is it ever short like that. So most gaffers tend to be either dead or on disability or in rehab by the time they hit their 40s or 50s. Families left, kids have grown up, they've abandoned pretty much any hope that this gaffer, father, husband might ever not be a workaholic. It's not that he wants to, it's that that's the way the system works. We work 14 hours a day. In France, they don't work like that. They do what we call French hours, but we'll get to that on a separate one because that's really interesting, the French hours. Think about it, French hours. I know you're wondering, does this mean everybody gets naked? Are we all eating croissants and sipping espresso? It's not the stereotype that you think it is. One little thing that I want to say here is if you have any questions about the film business, about script writing, about editing, about moving cameras, about what does a grip do, which we'll cover in another video in a little while. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to if you have any questions, do not hesitate to subscribe and send us. Who's us? I'm alone in this room, for Christ's sake. Look. Do you see anybody? Send me your idea, your question. Hey, dude, what does a camera assistant do? I bet you didn't even know there was a camera assistant, did you? You just thought all those shots were in focus just automatically, like with your cheapo video camera, right? I'm not saying you all have cheapo video cameras, but it's motion picture, it's moving pictures, and people move. So the focus is continually changing. But we'll get to that one on another video as well. So please send us your questions. I'll be more than happy to answer any of it. It will free me up from having to talk about this stuff next Christmas with family and friends. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks for coming out. Oh, by the way, I wanted to say, thanks for coming out.